What's up, people? So as you can see, we got Troy's Cadillac back in the garage, but that's not what this video is about today. Today, there's a special treat. We have NX Gonzo's 280Z. He does YouTube videos also, tons of event coverage, been doing it for a long time. Awesome videos, go check his channel out. So he's been building this one for quite a while. I always give him crap about having so many cars and none of them are done. It's your pretty standard stock bottom end sort of setup. 78, 75 turbo, so relatively small compared to what we normally do for the stock bottom end stuff. But I think he did head gaskets, head studs, valve springs and retainers, trunnion upgrade, I believe, push rods, oil pump. That's pretty much it. So like I said, standard stock bottom end build. Before we dive into that, do me a huge favor, and like always, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe. Don't be greedy. If you like this video, then I'm sure other people will too, so share it with them. So my biggest thing whenever we're doing any of these, not just stock bottom end stuff, stock bottom end for power, that's pretty straightforward. A lot of people can do that. I think the difference from, tuning a race car versus tuning a street car is, how consistently does it start up in any temperatures? How does it drive? And then the versatility, the features. You're gonna be driving this car around on a bunch of different surfaces. You may wanna do a highway pull. You may wanna do something from a dig. You may wanna take it to the track. So it's gotta be versatile. Race cars can be a lot easier. If they don't have a whole lot of complicated features, complicated sensors, then you don't really spend a crazy amount of time on tuning a race car. You go for power, you do some power control settings, and then you adjust everything, on a pass-to-pass basis at the track. So it doesn't really put like a heavy strain if you're only the one doing the setup portion of it and the power portion of it on the person who's tuning it. But for street cars, you want all of that ability, but you want to make it easy for a person who's not going to be, in and out of the laptop. They're not going to be like, they're ideally, you want them to never have to open up a laptop and be able to do a lot of different types of racing. So obviously, like, if you don't have like a digital screen, or you don't have certain switches or dials or things like that to where you can make it all user-friendly, then you're gonna have to go and change some things in the actual calibration itself. But try to minimize that, and that's what we tried doing with this car. So I gave him as many options as I could with just using switches on his 7-inch screen and having a bunch of dependencies on different kinds of features. All right, so first things first, we had to get it started and driving around nicely, and you want it to be able to start really easily, both when it's dead cold and when it's hot. And one of the things, particularly when it's cold, that makes it a big pain in the butt to start is if it's got a crappy battery. I feel like a lot of people neglect the condition of their battery, and it's really key. If voltage is being pulled down to like, 7 volts or something like that, anything electrical is all going to be running way worse down there. Requires you to have exactly the right dead times at that voltage range, which, to be honest with you, a lot of times they're not. All right, so we just uploaded a calibration real quick, just kind of took a stab at it. It was on V4. I didn't want to convert it over yet, so and I didn't have any really good bases for V4, so kind of had to do it from scratch. So we'll see how this goes. Previously, he was having a really hard time getting it started. Like, it would fire, but then it wouldn't stay on. So hopefully we can fix that with just this first guess. Battery's a little low. Everything was just not running right with that battery. I wouldn't be surprised if that battery actually has a little bit of an internal short issue as well, because it's still a whole volt lower than what the truck is actually putting out. So there's a short or a big draw somewhere in here. All right, this is the second cold start attempt. Got a new battery in it. Made a couple changes. Hopefully they work well. Ugh. This thing is tiny. No, we'll get out of here. Start this logging. And go. Alright, a little better than last time. Still like for it to be a little quicker than that. 70 degrees, it should be easier to start than that. But obviously compared to how it was previously, where it wouldn't even stay running for like multiple attempts over and over again, having it fire and stay on is obviously a win. It's moving in the right direction. So we'll make let's take a look at the log and make a couple changes based on that. But that's pretty much it. Like I'll only make changes for cold start off of like the first start of the day. So like ideally I'd like it to be really cold in the morning, which I'll try you know, probably tomorrow. But this is first start of the day, so it's like he came out in the garage, it's this time of day, that's how it would start. I'd like it to be just a hair better. Alright, so far so good. That's idle nice. Revs pretty crispy. Gotta do a little bit of work on like really light throttle stuff. That's no big deal. But the other thing is trans brake doesn't seem to engage when it's in first gear. So like I can use trans brake in like to go into reverse. If I have it in the reverse position and I use the trans brake, it clunks it into reverse just fine. But if I'm in neutral, it doesn't do anything. And if I'm in first gear, it doesn't do anything. So I don't know if there's something weird going on or if this is a glide thing and I'm doing something wrong. But I'll find out real quick. All right, guys, we're working on Aaron's 280Z today. I want to show you something that we can do with Holly that I like. So anybody that has a Pro Brake trans brake knows that you can't just select reverse to go backwards. You have to actually either put it in neutral, put it in reverse, depending on the transmission, and actually use the trans brake button to make yourself go back, which is kind of a pain in the butt when you're trying to back into a spot or, you know, make a tight turn where you have to use two hands and you're struggling to keep the button down while you're going hand over hand with it. It's a big pain in the butt. So through a series of software only inputs and outputs and some dependencies between them and creating some digital switches on the dash, we're able to activate the trans brake with these two switches. The reason why we put it on two is because we don't want you to accidentally tap reverse while you're going down the road and engage the trans brake. So it's something that you have to deliberately press two things, and there you go. The trans brake is engaged right now. You don't have to touch the button or anything. Now you can use two hands to reverse and do whatever tight turns you need to do, and then just go ahead and turn it off. If you select one, it's not going to do anything. If you select the trans brake, it still works, even though you have this one, but if you select both, you're good to go. I just figured that was a nice feature, and it doesn't use any additional inputs and outputs. All right, third attempt. Get this thing logging. Taking this thing out on its maiden voyage. Hopefully it has enough fuel in it. Aaron said he wasn't sure, but I mean, I've been driving up and down our hills here, And I haven't heard the pump struggle or anything, so it's got to have enough not to be sloshing around, which should be plenty to get to the gas station. So we'll do some logging on the way, give it a couple of different loads, and just kind of start populating, you know, the learn table if we're super far off. I was hoping for a nice sunny drive, but it's been raining a ton, so it's super gloomy outside. But it's not supposed to rain until later on tonight, so we should have enough to enough daylight or enough dry weather to hopefully get this daily driving stuff sorted out, so that'll be ready for the dyno. All right, so hopefully this all goes smooth. And then I'm not sure if I was already talking about this earlier, but we've got the dash screen that pops up that has all of the switches, but we'll probably be driving on this screen. All right, let's see how it goes. I think I'm relatively happy about that. I gotta figure out what's going on with the coolant temp sensor, because that reads 70, 74. It's definitely not that warm in here. I got my other thermometer that reads that it's 59, so I gotta see if maybe that's the wrong sensor that was selected or what. But yeah, we'll let it warm up a little bit and then we'll head out. So last car that we had here was Troy's Cadillac, and it had some overheating problems. I hope that doesn't become a common theme of the cars that we work on here. We really need them to stay cool to be able to do daily driving sort of stuff. Alright, we'll get these seatbelts situated and then we'll head on out. Drive pretty good if it wasn't for the exhaust smell. I think that downpipe is just at a perfect spot where there's like an opening in the floor or something. It's a little rough in here. Well, we'll try to get this done as quickly as possible so I don't, you know, die. One thing that I'll mention, I'll notice, he said it was 355 gears in here. Now I know the tire size isn't that big, but I would have thought, I mean, we're going 50 right now. It's at 25 to 2600 RPM. I gotta do the trans calculator and see if that's right, but I don't know. It seems like it has a much shorter gear in there, but the total size of the tire may be throwing me off. I'm used to the speed that you can go with that gearing and a 28, so that might be all it is. Also, so far we're staying rock solid at about 206. So I think the cooling system is doing well. He did say he was pretty sure that it had a stock thermostat in it. So that's a perfectly normal temperature for a stock thermostat. We get some good stop and go here before we get to the gas station. So we'll get to see if it'll hold itself at idle, hold temperature after driving for a while at about 2500, 2600 RPM. And see if a cop pulls us over, because there's one right there. We shall see. So far so good. Now this car is registered, but I don't know how cops would take kindly to the fact that it doesn't have the registered plates on it. It's got some paper tags in here and the stickers aren't on the window. So at first glance, they could totally feel that it's a good idea to pull me over. Hopefully they don't. But it's technically legal. They could just get angry at me for not having it pinned on the back. Don't have any turn signals. So hopefully everybody knows hand signals. Let's see. the gas tanks on. Dirt road approved. All right, so I'm going back out for another cruise because it did die once on me. Oh, there's a deer. It died once on me pulling into the gas station. So I took a look at the log. I made some changes. Hopefully I can get rid of that completely. And yeah, I'm just gonna go out, show it a couple more different scenarios, and hopefully I can get it as clean as possible. It is getting ready to rain. It's not supposed to rain until later tonight, but it did sprinkle a little bit a second ago, so I really got to be careful about doing any pulls. So I probably won't. I'm probably just going to try to really make daily driving, idle, and all that stuff solid, and we'll save all of the power for the dyno. All right, so I'd say that's a success. I did 2 tests real quick, 6 pounds. It went right up to 6 pretty quickly. This converter is actually pretty loose on the brake, so I'm going ahead and retarding quite a bit of timing early so that it can make the boost real quick. I'm allowing it to go above the launch RPM until it makes a certain amount of boost, but honestly on the lower boost levels, since I'm retarding so much timing, it makes the boost before it even has a chance to go over what the limiter is currently set at. But when I did the 9 pounds, it made 9 pounds exactly as it should, and it held there. I left it on it for a little while just to make sure that it wasn't going to creep above. Did exactly what it was supposed to do, nice and solid. And the RPM increase also helped. So it's targeting 3,600 right now. It went a little bit over, maybe like to 4 grand or something like that, and then came back down to 36 once it reached its boost target. So everything's working good. The turbo comes up pretty easy. It's so little. That's like all the way back too. Tons of room up front. All right, guys, this is actually the second pull. I did not record the first one just because I wanted to make sure I was concentrating on everything. It went well. It was 5.5 pounds, made like 429. Still pretty conservative on pretty much everything. Good, perfect on fuel. We were within like 3% or something like that on closed loop. So we're gonna start creeping up on it and see what duty cycle yields what boost, and kind of track it as we go. And once we get up to a certain power level and boost level, we'll probably do a plug change. I have some 8s, but it sounds like he only wants to make about horsepower, so we're probably not even going to get into the 8s. We'll probably just stay on the 7s. But I don't know, we'll see. I might just put the 8s in there because I'm going to want to get a plug reading once we start getting into the higher power. So we'll do some tuning and then do some plug readings a little bit later. So see how this one goes. if you notice, I cut that one short a little bit just because it stood up really quickly. Sounded like it wanted to go up to a lot of boost, and I wanted to make sure, because I made a duty cycle change to target more boost, but it sounded like it was going to make way more. And it's Gen 3 bottom end, so we want to be nice to this thing and gentle. So I'm gonna check the log real quick, check that partial log, and see what it was actually standing up to. If it wasn't that much boost, then we'll just go ahead and do that same pull again. If it was, then we'll turn the duty cycle down a little bit and go from there. All right, so it's a good thing that we let out when we did, because you can see it was about to go to the moon. So it did actually end up hitting boost cut, which, you know, I'm glad we set it where we set it. I set it relatively low. A couple of things that we did find out on that run, though, is the 4-port's probably not going to work out on this setup. I don't think he's going to have to run more than about 15 pounds to reach his goal. So it's really there's no point to use the 4-port. The 4-port we want to use to be able to go from like very, very little boost to everything that the turbo can do. Well, we can't let this turbo do everything it can do, because it's a Gen 3 bottom end and he doesn't want that much power anyway. And the wastegate spring that he has, does about 6 pounds or so. So if we triple that, it's going to be 18 pounds. It's probably going to be more than enough for him. That's going to be perfect. So I think the 3-port is going to be better off in this one, because it'll give us a wider range. Well, it'll give 0 to 100% will be from 5.5 pounds to, let's say, 18 pounds, versus this 4-port being 5.5 pounds to whatever that turbo will do, which will be a lot. So and keep in mind, like, it's not going to do a lot of boost like all the way through the RPM range. This turbo is so small that it'll peak up real hard and then it'll fall off up top, but it's that peak up that we're really worried about, particularly with the Gen 3 bottom end. So we're going to see if his friend's got one that we can swap out. But for now, we're going to go ahead and just tiptoe through the RPM, or tiptoe through the boost range with this solenoid. We'll just use a much lower duty cycle, and hopefully we can get the fuel and timing portion of this done, and then just swap out the solenoid and dial that in. So we'll give that a try. So we didn't get any reaction out of that one, so we're gonna go ahead and I turned up the duty cycle a little bit, and we're gonna give it another try. Might not go all the way through. I just basically want to see if we get any boost increase out of this. So this yellow one is the last pass that it did. Made about 543, 546, I think, a little bit. 546. Okay, so that was on about 10 pounds. The reason why it doesn't come in until very late right here is because we're still trying to figure out what duty cycle yields what boost with this 4-port. For this setup, like I said, it's very touchy, so I'm doing it per RPM right now, and that's why I had it increase a little bit late in the run. Just to make sure that it didn't kind of run away on this ramp up right here. So I'm going to pull that down a little bit more and add a little bit of duty cycle. We're going to try to see what duty yields about 15 pounds. And we'll see what that makes. I think it'll be pretty good. All right, so we'll upload what we just changed and do another pull. if it was up above the drive shaft and then it dropped down on it and like fucking disintegrated it. Blow off half a step.
Yeah, because I think MagnaFuel suggested dash 12 to feed.
Yeah.
And then it goes to 10.
Yeah, I think 12 will get you where they recommend like the highest that the pump can do. You can get away with, I think like 800 or something on dash 10. Yep. So that's why I assume if there's no like choke points or anything anywhere else, then it's got to be just dirty filter. Did it come loose or no?
Oh yeah.
A little wastegate spring in there. That seems long. Are they usually that long? Heyo.
And that's really stiff.
Yeah. That's what she said.
Yeah.
Golly.
Look at that.
Holy crap.
And how strong is filler? That should be, man.
That is pretty gnarly. But valve is free. It's not stuck.
I mean, I can't get it to move right now, but see if you can mess with the area.
Wait, what?
I know. That's what I was like.
Oh.
Does it go?
It's stuck.
Does it go? Oh, is it open?
Yeah, it's
it opens
good.
going in, right?
No.
Going
It
down?
come, or well,
It should.
yeah, it should go down that
Should
way.
go down like that.
Yeah. Or wait.
Oh,
Oh,
there it
you go.
goes.
You run
Yeah,
this.
Okay.
It sounded really.
So now,
Don't let your car sit, people. Go beat them up. Go
hey,
drive
move
them.
it up and down and see if it's got play now.
Let's
Is it
clean up
still
that.
high enough?
Let's clean up that O-ring.
Yeah, probably pull the whole thing out.
Will it just unseat right there? I think the whole diaphragm will come unseated from right there.
Probably got a mud jobber nest in there.
Wouldn't be surprised. Oh yeah, I didn't show that. Dang it. On the last pull, or the pull before this last one, a big old mud dauber nest came out from under the car and rattled around in the drive shaft.
There's an O-ring in there. How do I get that out?
Oh, I figured the whole thing would come out and then we could just kind of.
Honestly, put some spit on that O-ring, and I bet you
Yeah.
can pull it through.
Oh, there you go.
Cool.
There you go. No
So, yeah.
spit, no lube.
Yeah, no lube.
He's rude.
Shit on it.
Sticky.
That's
Yeah, let's-
probably our problem.
Let's clean it up a little bit.
There's some water.
And put some, like clean any dirt off of it, and then you could just put some oil
Yeah. That's some safer.
or Vaseline or something, whatever. It's starting to get a little weird now. All right, so on the previous pulls that we were losing fuel pressure a little bit, we're thinking that it might have just been low on fuel, so we filled it up a little bit too much. It's dripping a little bit down there. So now that it's full on fuel, we're gonna try to go back to the boost that previously it had a fuel pressure drop and hope that it's just that. The other thing that it might be, the post-pump fuel filter looks like a really small body. There's no way that it can have a decent filter element in there. Aaron said that it was the filter that MagnaFuel had recommended, but I'm just not positive that MagnaFuel realized what the intention was of the fuel system, I guess. So maybe it ended up being something that was too small, and that might be screwing us. So if I do this pull, I've got a tight fuel safety on it, so if fuel pressure drops too much, it'll just cut it. And but if it doesn't drop fuel pressure, then fuel system's good, and we were just low on fuel, and we'll keep going with it. If that's all the fuel system can do, then obviously we'll stop. We'll put it a little bit lower in boost, switch over to that other solenoid, and send it on its way, basically. Come have some fun with it. All right, so that's it for power. It made on that one. It needed pounds in order to make that. I think it probably would have made quite a bit more power at that boost, but this is a Gen 3 motor. I don't know what the condition is, and he wants something that is just fun and safe. So I figure the timing that we have in it, the air fuel that we have in it will pretty much live forever, or should. And this turbo comes on so quick, like it's gonna be a blast to drive in this little thing. So we're gonna stop there for power. But since we had the 4-port on there and it was making that boost at only 16%, I'm assuming DA and everything is gonna really drastically change that number. So we're gonna swap this out for a 3-port, and then we'll have to refigure out what duty cycle yields what boost. Once we figure that out, he's good to go. I'll work with him in the future, just doing some remote tuning to basically get like gear corrections and everything right. Because the thing about this turbo specifically is it comes up, it peaks, and then it likes to fall off. So if we're gonna do boost feedback, we've got to populate a table, and then, you know, mess with the PID to make sure that it's not gonna be like overshooting and undershooting because it comes up so quickly. Or we'll keep it in raw duty cycle, but I'll give him gear compensations so that it stays at a level boost all the way across. And yeah, then should be pretty happy with that. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Aaron's happy, made good power, drives around great. So hopefully he actually goes and drives it around and has some fun with it.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, next video that you guys will see will be Troy's CTSV. So hopefully that one goes just as smooth as this one did. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.